Now we're going to start project 4. It's a fairly straightforward project where we're going to calculate or estimate the weighted average cost of capital for your company. Then we're going to use our weighted average cost of capital estimation for all of our capital budgeting projects. Alright, so we're going to kick into our base Excel and then our project 4 WAC. Just go ahead and open the file and enable the editing and enable the content. Click to start the process. Again, first name, last name, and our 800 number. And then we'll just close. Now at that point, we have on our worksheet or on our desktop our weighted average cost of capital base file. We want to make sure that we move that off to the jump drive. Just to stress again, on the desktop will be clear periodically, so if you just save your data there, it will be it'll be deleted and you'll lose your work. So we'll go ahead and open the file. And what we're going to need to do is we have some bonds information that we're going to work with. Real quick, what I'm going to do is just a little bit of editing here, organize things up. We'll go ahead and wrap text, drag things off here a little bit so that they fit pretty well. We'll go ahead and center the text so that we can follow everything that's going on. Maybe expand some of these guys a little bit more. And then I'll go ahead and add a bottom line to the data and a top line to the data. And again, you just want to keep things as organized as possible. And again, the areas that are highlighted in color are the cells that will be graded automatically. I'll go ahead and center these guys up too. All right. So the next step is to get our bond information for the company. And you'll notice that we have a minimum or a maximum of 10 bonds that you're going to use. So we get our bond information. We're going to just Google FINRA bond data. I'll just run the search again. And our top hit is going to be corporate bond data, which we'll click on. Actually, we went to Bond Home Market Morningstar. Alright, so this is going to be the website that we're going to get our bond data from. We'll click on the search function, and we went bonds, corporate, and then you'll enter your ticker symbol here. Mine is going to be UTX. And then we'll go ahead and hit return to get the search started. Alright, now you'll notice that down here we have something on the order, well, we have more than 10 bonds basically. And for some of your companies you will have significantly more than 10 bonds. Some companies that are in the random selection may only have 1 or 2 bonds. So you're required to do at least 10 bonds in this process. So for example, AT&T may have hundreds of bonds out there. Coca-Cola probably has hundreds of bonds or close to hundreds of bonds. And what we want to do is create, select a cross-section of the bonds that are going to be there. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and change the filtering process. Right now, there is no filter. We're going to click on the maturity date, so that the bonds at the bottom are the earliest maturity ones, and the bonds at the top are the ones that mature the latest. And then what you want to do, if you have a company that has multiple sheets of bonds, you just kind of want to get a cross-section of it, a reasonable cross-section based on maturity date. So in this case, as I go and pick the different bonds that I want, I'm going to go ahead and pick this first one, and we're just going to click here, and that's going to add it to the watch list. This has already been added to the watch list. And then I'm just kind of looking. So this is 17. I already got a 17 bond, so I'm not going to use that one. I'll go ahead and maybe click, for example, the GB bond. Looks pretty good, which is on my watch list. And I'll just kind of go through here and pick bonds, kind of just by feel, I guess would be the right word. So they get kind of a cross section. And you only want to pick a bond that has both a price and a yield. So for example, this bond right here, you wouldn't want to pick it because it only has a price and not a yield. Now if you have less than 10 bonds and none of the bonds have prices or yields, you go ahead and check on those bonds, and we'll work on a workaround later. We'll be able to figure out an appropriate price basically, and then calculate the yield to maturity. I think most of the time people are going to have bonds that they can select from. Anyway, I can just go down here and click on bonds. For example, I could click on the GY bond. And if you just, to get to your watch list, you'll just click over here for the watch list. So these are the bonds that I've selected for my watch list. And the next thing we want to do is start looking at the bond detail. So I'm going to show you the bond detail. We'll just click on United Technologies Corporation. And this is the first bond that I'm interested in, so it's because it's the first one in my list. And we'll go back to my Excel spreadsheet. And now we're just going to collect the relevant bond information. So the bond is right here. That's the symbol that we're going to be interested in. Control C. And go ahead and Control V. The maturity of the bond is right here, so I'm going to enter 11/15/2019. My yield to maturity is right here, so it's going to be 2.361 and then %. The price is per $100 of bond value. All the bonds that we're working with are $1,000 bonds. So the price, you just move the decimal point over one. The price right now is 125.8.7. Now offering outstanding, that's going to come down here. And you can see on the original offer there was, and this is asterisk, it's in thousands. So there was 300,000 thousands, which would basically be 300 million. But the amount that's still outstanding is 236.44. So basically a number of bonds have been repurchased. So we want this number. I'm just going to hit Control C to copy it. And then we'll go ahead and Control V to paste. Now the bond count, and to make things simple, I'm going to go ahead and no fill a couple of lines here that I'm about to work on. So the bond count is then equal to the number of shares that are outstanding divided by the bond price. And I'm sorry, it's the number of shares that are outstanding divided by 1,000. So there'd be basically 236 bonds, and we'll take the dollar signs off by just going to general. And then we don't need any decimal places here. The value outstanding is now going to be equal to the number of bonds outstanding multiplied by the current price of the bond. And that we do want to have in a dollar sign format. So I'm just going to stretch this over to get it to fit good. Okay, so the outstanding offers against the original, it's incremented by $1,000 bonds. So what this says is that the company has purchased back or bought back some of the bonds that were outstanding. The current value of those bonds is the number of bonds that are outstanding multiplied by the current price. And we'll get into the percent value and the yield to contribution a little bit later. So I'm going to do one more of these, and then we're going to end the video, and you'll go through basically the same process. We'll just hit the back button. We'll go to our next bond. And just start the process over again. So we'll copy the ticker symbol, Control C, Control V. Make sure that all your ticker symbols are going to be different. The maturity date is 6/01/2036. The yield to maturity here is going to be 4.375. The current price is 122.5.9. The outstanding, so in this case $600 million were issued, $600 million are still outstanding, so we'll just highlight that number, Control C to copy, and go ahead and paste it back. And then we can just drag these two guys down. So there's still 600 bonds that are outstanding, but the value of those bonds is basically 735 million as opposed to the original 600 million that was issued. And I'll tell you what, I'll do one more. We'll just go to the next one in the list and do again the same process. So our ticker symbol is UTXGW. The maturity is 7/15/2038. The yield is 4.35%. Actually, this is going to be 4.375%. Trying to get it right yet. There we go. And then the price is 125, 4.6. And the outstanding is basically $1 billion. 1,000 million is a billion. And just drag this to get her to fit a little bit better. The bond count is again equal to the outstanding divided by 1,000, because the face value of the bonds are $1,000, and we just want that to be a general number. And then the value is equal to the current price of the bond times the number of bonds that are outstanding, and this one we want to be a currency. Alright, so you'll go ahead and populate this table. When I come back, I'll have the table populated, and we'll talk about filling in these last columns and these bottom values. Go ahead and save your file, and I will see you in the next video quite shortly. Thank you very much. Hope you're enjoying the labs, and thank you for watching. Bye.